scripture passage, we read two of the famous Sabbath controversies, pitting Jesus against the Pharisees. At the conclusion of these controversies, Jesus goes up on a mountain to pray. And when he is done, he selects 12 people from his followers and calls them apostles. He sends them out to bring his saving message to all people. Today we also conclude Mission Month. During January, between our two services, we have heard from a variety of organizations and individuals that our mission team supports. Now, you may not think that you're a part of the mission ministry team, but for every dollar that you put into our offering plate, a large portion of that goes to support the mission efforts of individuals and organizations like the ones that we have been spotlighting. Our contributions and our focus on mission here at Southminster is a part of our larger understanding of what it means to love God and to love our neighbor as ourselves. Our scripture passages this morning teach us that Christ called each of us to go out in his name and do the same. So we've been doing something new since Christmas. We've been reading the scripture together. And so we're going to do that in a minute. We're going to read the scripture together. Now this morning's scripture is a little long. So what we're going to do, I'm actually going to have the piano side read half with me. And then I'm going to have the pulpit side read the other half. So piano side, we're on. One Sabbath, Jesus was going through the grain fields, and his disciples began to pick some heads of grain, rub them in their hands, and eat the kernels. Some of the Pharisees asked, "Why are you doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" Jesus answered them, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God, and taking the consecrated bread, he ate what is lawful only for the priests to eat, and he also gave some to his companions." Then Jesus said to them, "The Son of Man is the Lord of the Sabbath." And now we're going to switch to the old. On another Sabbath, he went into the synagogue and was teaching, and a man was there whose right hand was shriveled. The Pharisees and the teachers of the law were looking for a reason to accuse Jesus. So they watched him closely to see if he would heal on the Sabbath. But Jesus knew what they were thinking and said to the man with the shriveled hand, "Get up and stand in front of everyone." So he got up and stood there. Then Jesus said to them, "I ask you, which is lawful on the Sabbath, to do good or to do evil, to save life or to destroy it?" He looked around them all and then said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." He did so, and his hand was completely restored. But they were furious and began to discuss with one another what they might do to Jesus. One of those days, Jesus went out to the mountainside to pray and spent the night praying to God. When morning came, he called his disciples to him and chose 12 of them, whom he also designated apostles. Friends, this is the word of the Lord for us this morning. Thanks be to God. Please pray with me. Startle us, O God, with your truth. Open our hearts and our minds and our ears to the word you have for us this day. Let that word dwell deep in our heart and change us from who we are today to who you created us to be. In our Lord's name we pray. Amen. After reading today's passages, it is easy to dismiss the Pharisees as legalistic and self-righteous. Of course, the disciples should be able to pick grain off of wheat and eat it if they're hungry. And Jesus should be able to heal people on the Sabbath. To us, in our modern point of view, this seems ridiculous. But to understand what is really going on here, we need to keep keep ourselves from dismissing the Pharisees too quickly. And we need to try to understand their point of view. The Pharisees were part of a reform movement in Judaism. Some scholars have actually likened them to mainline Protestants, like ourselves. The Pharisees were trying to disengage Judaism from the prominence of the priests and the sacrificial offerings at the temple. Traditional Judaism claimed the Jewish people needed the priesthood to mediate between them and God. That's why they brought specific offerings to the temple. And we will remember that Mary and Joseph brought an offering to the temple, as was the custom on Jesus' birth. The Pharisees were actually trying to democratize Judaism, similar to the Protestant reformers, who tried to separate the people from the authority of the Pope and the mediation of the priests. The Pharisees proposed religious practices that could be followed anywhere without direct oversight or mediation by the temple priests. Their defining characteristic was Tulin al-Taharas HaKodesh, which means everyday life conducted with the purity required for the sacred. They were trying to live ultra-pure lives and become a sacred people set apart for God. They were concerned that Israel, which was occupied by the Romans, was changing. Traditional Jewish beliefs were being challenged by Greek and Roman culture. People were starting to stray and behave like the Greeks and the Romans. Part of the reason that their country was occupied by Romans, they believed, was that God was punishing them for not following his commands and taking them seriously enough. Their rigidity about following rules to the letter was because they thought if they did, God would return his favor to them and drive out their Roman occupiers. In order for this to happen, they felt the Jews needed to return to living a very pure life and make themselves holy like God. Well, with this information as a backdrop, we can understand why Jesus was such a threat to them. They felt Jesus was trying to undo all of the strict standards that they were trying to enforce. They thought Jesus was going to lead the people further away from God and thwart their efforts to make themselves holy for God. The incident this morning is about the Sabbath. Observing the Sabbath is one of the 10 Commandments and was a defining feature of being Jewish. The Sabbath took place from sundown on Friday night to sundown on Saturday. The Romans and Greeks did not observe it, but for the Jewish people, the stakes were high. In the book of Exodus, it says that anyone who profanes the Sabbath should be put to death. The commandment to remember the Sabbath and keep it holy is first given in the book of Exodus and grounded in the creation story where God rests on the seventh day. God set apart the seventh day as a holy day for rest and reflection on all the work of creation. Scholars believe that before that, a week had 10 days. Many feel that the ancient Egyptians had a 10-day week, not a 7-day week. By observing the Sabbath, the Jewish people also demonstrated an agreement with God. This is very clear in another passage in Exodus. The Lord said to Moses, "You yourself are to speak to the Israelites. You shall keep my Sabbaths, for this is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, given in order that you may know that I, the Lord, sanctify you. You shall keep the Sabbath because it is holy for you. Everyone who profanes it shall be put to death. Whoever does any work on it shall be cut off from among the people." In Deuteronomy, the Sabbath command is also tied to the release of the Jews from slavery. Verse 15 reads, "Remember that you were slaves in the land of Egypt, and that the Lord your God brought you out there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore the Lord your God has commanded you to observe the Sabbath day." Well, slaves did not get a day off. but free people do. Pharaoh's relentless demands were that the Jewish slaves make more and more bricks under harsher and harsher conditions. When the Jewish people stopped working every seventh day, God's people remembered that the Lord had rescued them from the land of Egypt, from their slavery, that the Lord would always provide for them. The issue of the Sabbath and how to observe it is one that defined who the Jewish people were and how they lived in obedience to God. As we just read, working on the Sabbath was prohibited. But what constitutes work? That is the problem. In their zeal to follow this commandment, work had grown over the centuries to include a very broad definition. It now included cooking food or even helping someone in need, unless their life was at risk, if it required work. In the Dead Sea Scrolls, in the sectarian documents of that community, it explains that if a person falls into a hole or a well on the Sabbath, you cannot take them out unless you have a rope already with you. If you're walking by and you happen to have a rope and you see someone who's fallen into a hole or a well, you can lower it down and get them out. But if you see them and you don't have a rope, and you would have to go back to your house and get the rope and bring it, that constitutes work. So the person has to stay in that hole or well until the Sabbath ends, and then you can get them out. Removing the chaff from the wheat to eat was also considered work. Kind of like shelling a peanut. You have to break open the shell to get the peanut out. In a sense, that is what the disciples were doing. That was considered work, as was healing, unless someone's life was in danger. Jesus, performing these functions on the Sabbath, was very shocking for people who considered themselves good Jews. He wasn't following the laws as they thought they would be followed, so to them, he was not obeying God. Jesus tries to explain his behavior with an even more shocking statement by stating that the Son of Man, referring to himself, is the Lord of the Sabbath. What? Here, Jesus is equating himself with God, because God is the Lord of the Sabbath. This is not only crazy to most of them, but the most radical thing you could say. Imagine that Southminster gets a new pastor. He starts acting in ways that are counter to what we are teaching here. And you come up to him, you confront him about this, and he says, "Don't worry about it. I'm actually Lord of this," equating himself with God. What would you think? Well, this is where the Pharisees find themselves today. They are just trying to follow the Sabbath commandments as they were taught. But they don't understand that their teaching has gotten off track. We will remember that in the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus asked, "Lord, which is the greatest commandment?" Jesus replies, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your soul and all your strength." This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbor as yourself. All the law and all the prophets hang on these two commandments. When Jesus refers to the law and the prophets, that is the holy scriptures of the day, as if we said the whole Bible is about this. Now, Jesus echoes this explanation when he says to them here, "I ask you, is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to destroy it?" The purpose of the Ten Commandments is to give us rules, to teach us how to love God and how to love and live with each other. One of the ways we express our love to God is in how we treat each other. We don't truly love God if we don't love our neighbor as ourselves. If we try to follow the commandments without showing love for our neighbor, we don't really understand them. The Pharisees had fallen into this trap. They were now defining the Sabbath requirement so strictly that they placed following the rules above caring for people. Understanding the true purposes of the commandments, there is nothing wrong with removing wheat from the chaff to eat, or healing on the Sabbath, because these actions are caring for people, expressing love for our neighbors. When we show love to our neighbors, we show God our love for him. Jesus makes this point and turns the Pharisees' understanding on its head. After this incident, the passage tells us that Jesus went out to the mountain to pray, spending the night in prayer with God. Now, going up to the mountain is important. It has allusions from Moses going up to the mountain to receive the Ten Commandments. When day came, he called his disciples, which referred to a large crowd now. These disciples are not the 12. And out of them, he chose 12, whom he also named apostles. This is the first time we hear that word. In choosing 12, he is echoing the 12 tribes of Israel. Jesus is doing a new thing. We have 12 tribes of Israel, and now we have 12 apostles that are going to give a new teaching. Apostles in Greek means literally to be sent out with authority, with the authority of the one who sends. It implies being sent out on a mission. But even more than that, the one sent is representing directly the one who gave them the orders. The apostles are sent out, and wherever they go, they are to represent Christ to all those they meet. As followers of Christ, you and I are also sent out. We are to follow the commandments, understanding that we are to love the Lord our God with all our heart and all our soul and all our strength, and that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. God sends us out to be Christ in this world. Mike Yaconelli, a theologian and writer, shares, once a month, the senior high youth group at Riverside Church goes to Manor Nursing Home and helps with the evening worship service. One year, Mark, one of the seniors in the group, really didn't want to do this. Luckily for Mark, they only needed 4 volunteers, and typically the same 4 students would volunteer every month, so Mark was off the hook. But one January, a really bad cold was going around. A lot of the group was sick, and they didn't have enough people, so they really needed Mark to come. Mark reluctantly agreed, but he told his youth leader, "I will go, but I don't want to speak. I'm not going to stand up in front of people, and I'm not really going to be in a worship service." "That's okay," the youth leader said. "You can set up the chairs, you can be our usher, you can pass out bulletins." So Mark went. He was stationed at the back of the room where we often find our ushers, and they wheeled in a man named Oliver next to him. During the passing of the peace, he went to shake Oliver's hand. He shook Oliver's hand, but Oliver didn't let go. He kept holding on. He clenched Mark's hand. Mark didn't really know what to do. He looked at Oliver. He saw his warm eyes, and so he just kept holding his hand. The service ended. People started to file out, and so finally he said, "I've got to go, but I'll be back next month." Wait, what did I just say, Mark thought? I don't want to come back next month. I never want to come back here. Why did I say that? Well, he had said it, so he decided next month that he would go. The next month, pretty much the same scene repeated itself. He was stationed at the back. They wheeled Oliver in. Oliver had a stroke, so he couldn't really speak. During the passing of the peace, Mark shook Oliver's hand, and Oliver kept holding on. He continued holding Oliver's hand, and then he said at the end, "I've got to go, but I'll see you next month." Mark started going. He was surprised to find that he actually started looking forward to going. Several months passed, and one Sunday, Oliver did not come in. Mark was waiting, the service started, but Oliver didn't come in. So after the service, he went and he found Oliver's room. He walked in. He had never seen someone look so weak. He didn't know what to do. He felt really, really uncomfortable, and he just wanted to leave. But he summoned up the courage to grab Oliver's hand. He grabbed his hand, he said a few words, and Oliver squeezed his hand without opening his eyes. He started to walk out, and he almost bumped into a girl about his age coming in. "I'm sorry," he said, I didn't notice you." "Well, I was hoping to see you," she said. "I'm Oliver's granddaughter. You know, I know he can't speak too much anymore, but he does speak to me, and I can understand what he said. Last night he sat up in bed, and he said, 'Say goodbye to Jesus for me.' I was really confused. I said, 'Grandpa, you don't have to say goodbye to Jesus. You're going to be seeing Jesus really soon, and you can say hello to him.' He laid back down, then he opened his eyes, and he said, 'No, I know, but Jesus comes to see me every month, and he may not know that I've gone, so say goodbye to him for me.' I was really confused. I didn't know what he meant," she said, "so I went out and I told the nurse. And then she told me about you. She told me how you've been coming each month, how you stand at the back and you hold Grandpa's hand. Well, I never really expected Jesus to look like you, but I'm sure Jesus is happy to have had you mistaken for him. I know Grandpa is, and so thank you. Thank you for coming." As followers of Christ, you and I are also sent out. We are to follow the commandments, understanding we are to love the Lord our God with all our heart and all our soul and all our strength, and that we are to love our neighbor as ourselves. We are sent out to the familiar and the unfamiliar, sent out to those we know and to strangers, sent out to places we don't want to go, often unsure of why we are there. We are sent out and asked to be Christ to others in this world. Amen.